The Taichung mission headquarters is kind of located in a special place. It's pretty central to the city and like downtown area. And it was purchased many years ago, like probably 50 plus years ago. And there's a chapel in a parking lot, and next to the chapel is the mission home and the mission office, just on this like corner lot. And it's across the street from the biggest like shopping mall in Taiwan, and on the other side is this famous hospital in Taiwan, and they're just these huge buildings. And so it's kind of fun to go to the mission headquarters because it's just this little chapel and little house in like downtown Taichung. It's kind of fun. As far as Taichung City, the streets kind of go every which way. There's not a grid system like maybe I was familiar to before I went to Taiwan. The way the streets are laid out is they have jie or lu, which is like a road or a street, and off those they have xiangzi, which is like an alley, and off of xiangzi they have nong, which is an even smaller alley. And so the way you'd give someone your address is you'd say the road and the xiang. So the road is a name, and then the xiang is like a number, and then the nong would be a number, and then you'd say the house number. And so it was kind of tricky finding houses every once in a while, but yeah, big city, high rises everywhere, and it covered a large area. They have a gaotie. I'm sorry, I don't even know what that is in English. They have a high-speed rail that goes through all the major cities of Taiwan on the west coast. They have lots of train systems, lots of public transportation, taxis. As you get further out from the city, people start living in I guess houses. And what's a typical house in Taiwan is like a 3-level house. They're like lined up side by side, maybe like 10 in a row, and they all look identical, and they're just, I guess maybe something like a townhome is what it'd be comparable to. And the basement, oftentimes the basement people would use as even like a garage. They'd pull their scooters or cars just right into that bottom level. Some people would use that bottom level for like a family business, like a restaurant or like a bike repair shop. And then they'd live on the second and third levels of this like townhome. So as missionaries, the streets would be full of people. I can't hardly ever remember tracting because there were so many people in the streets that we just talked to. And oftentimes we try to catch people in that bottom layer of their home, either while they're working on their business or just gathering around the television. And as you get further out, it's more rice fields. And that's typical, I think, of most cities in Taiwan. This is your central location. Get out, you start to have these townhomes, and then further out it's like rice fields and farmland. Most of our shopping took place at like markets. So we'd go and we'd decide what we wanted. Like fruit. Fruit was fresh. That was the best part about Taiwan, was the fresh fruit. I guess one of the best parts. But yeah, they'd pick it that day and sell it, and it was huge and juicy and affordable. And so that's what we would do. On preparation day, we'd go to markets and buy what we needed, and especially make sure we took advantage of the fruit that was in season. Taiwan has 2 rainy seasons, and I forget what months those are, but one was just wet, and the other one was kind of like a typhoon type rainy season. And each time there was a typhoon season, we had typhoons come. I think that's pretty typical, just that there would be 2 to 3 typhoons that would come through Taiwan. And depending on the severity, the missionaries would still go out and proselyte. Sometimes it was just windier and rainier, and we'd go out and proselyte, but sometimes if it was severe, we'd stay inside, and that was usually something our mission president would let us know. Hot in the summer, really hot. in the wintertime, it wouldn't get too cold temperature-wise, but the humidity made it really, really cold. And especially if it was raining, and if you got wet, if you forgot to bring your rain jacket or something and the water got on you, it was really cold in the wintertime. I always felt safe in Taiwan. Before I went, I was thinking it'd be like a third world country, and that kind of had a lot of worries for me, but I showed up in very first world country. Different than what I was used to in America, but very first world country. Felt safe all the time. There was one time where we were visiting an investigator that lived next to a miao, which is like a Buddhist or Taoist temple. And the miao is public access for anyone. So I'm certain this wasn't, a monk or a religious person, but someone that was there was unhappy with us for visiting, I guess, and they threw these glass jars at us from the second story of this Buddhist miao or Buddhist temple, and we booked it. But that was the only time I ever felt in danger. I just remember hearing the glass shattering, and it was obviously they weren't aiming for us. It landed, about 10-15 feet away, but that was scary, and we booked it. But I always felt safe. The traffic can be a little crazy. I think in America I was used to defensive driving, and I feel like when I got to Taiwan it was about 50% defensive and 50% offensive. And so lots of times cars, like if they need to turn right onto a busy street, they kind of punch it if there's a little gap and just expect that the car that's coming will see them and slow down. Where in America, right, someone would get really upset at you, but that was the typical traffic flow. Just trying to have to be a little bit more assertive. And so, but on a bike, we always tried to be safe. I know that since I left, they had missionaries get like safety vests that have reflective gear on them. I never had an accident on my bike. I had an accident with another missionary on my bike, but that was aside from Taiwan traffic. We always wore helmets. We were advised to always have two hands on the handlebars at a time. And I think that was a great blessing. I'm used to riding my bike with no hands at times, if I don't know. But I do really feel that keeping both hands on the handlebars at times and trying to be obedient to that mission rule helped me be safe.